Why can the United States be a huge power, although it consists of more than 50 states, while we, the Arabs, must continue to be divided and partitioned in the way we are, and each bunch of individuals consider themselves to be a nation with a flag and a president and I don't know what.
So you think it's realistically kind of can be anticipated that within our lifetimes this could happen, that the actual Arab states cease to exist as separate entities, or maybe become part of some kind of federal system?
Within our lifetimes, I don't know, because I don't know until when we are going to live. Allahu Alam. But we are approaching that point. We are definitely approaching. We saw the first round of great Arab revolutions in 2011, and now we are seeing the sign of the second round. Algeria, Sudan, and now Egypt. Probably this will extend elsewhere. Eventually, the revolutions will succeed, and eventually the Arabs will be united. And this is the way that Palestine will be liberated. So long as these regimes exist, so long as the partition continues, Israel will continue to enjoy security and stability.
Just taking it back a step, Dr. Azzam, many people will argue that you knew that reality of the world when you left your homes. Why did you leave your homes? Why did you abandon your residences? And why didn't you put up a bigger fight against the Zionist gangs who invaded?
Well, nobody really left out of choice. Now, let's make a distinction between those who were forced to leave in 1948. You're talking about the Palestinians, right?
Yeah, who left Palestine now?
1948, the Zionists designed a series of massacres. The most famous of which, or infamous of which, is Deir Yassin. And the idea was to frighten the rest of the population. Take my mother's case, for instance. My maternal grandparents and their children were living in Bir Saba, Beersheba. They heard the news of the massacres happening around Jerusalem. They locked their house and went to their relatives in Hebron and Al-Khalil until things subsided, because they were promised by the Arab countries at the time, okay, you leave now, and we will secure the area, and you can come back afterwards. People took their keys with them because they wanted to come back. They thought they were coming back within a week, within 2 weeks maximum. So these massacres and the force used to dispossess people is an understandable reason.
So while they were away, the Zionists moved in and took the land. And
exactly. And the Arab governments, there was no real fight. Arab governments at the time, actually Arab armies at the time, were commanded by British and French soldiers or officers. There were no real independence. Even until today, there is no real independence or sovereignty anywhere in the Arab world. So the Palestinians were let down. But then after that, as in the case of my father, he didn't leave as a result of the occupation of his hometown. He went to work in Hebron in Kuwait, to improve the livelihood of his family in Hebron, like thousands of Palestinians, but was going to come back. Actually, when we were in Kuwait in 1967, the war happened and the rest of Palestine was seized by the Israelis. But this time, the majority of the Palestinians did not leave. They learned a lesson. They did not leave.
They didn't sell their homes. Some people will say that they sold them to the Zionists in exchange for blank checks and so on and so forth. I mean, it's a narrative which is difficult to disprove, especially with most of the archives and so on not available to us. But we know that at least some families were executed by the Jordanian authorities and so on for selling their homes to the Zionists. To what extent was this? And what would you say to those who keep making this point?
It's a nonsense. It's nonsense. Most of the Palestinians were driven by force. They had their keys. They wanted to go back. And if there were a few cases of people selling, that happens anywhere.
Yeah.
But the majority of the Palestinians were still hoping to return.
Unscripted.